Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? You guys feeling good? I love this movie so much, especially the last couple of scenes I think are just so profoundly special, so simple. I'm very excited to be here to moderate a Q&A with the filmmaker, writer, director, Celine Song, who's here today. Come on out, Celine. And also during this thing, we're very lucky, we have the incredible actor, Teo Yoo. And last but not least, the one and only Greta Lee. How you guys doing? Good? How was brunch?
Very good.
It was very good. Is your mic?
Very good.
Yeah.
I ate with this guy.
Yeah, how was brunch? You were there.
It was great. We just stared at each other in silence for about 20 minutes.
Didn't speak at all.
But you communicate so much through your eyes. Yeah. I want to start just because this is the first time I've hung out with all of you at the same time. I love the dynamic of this group, especially knowing that this film relies so heavily on the chemistry. Every single look and every single touch, even just contact, feels so essential to feeling what you want to convey. Can you, all three of you, this is open to all of you, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to work with each other, and like what was the method that you because I read a little bit, and I saw you do a Q&A the other day, it was like 6 months ago, about the process of kind of curating the energy in the space, what worked, what didn't work. I kind of want to, as a director, I kind of want to hear you talk a little bit about that.
I think that, a big part of it is that because the whole film sort of lives on the actors' faces, right? And the way that they're standing and then the way that they're looking at each other. So I think a big part of it has to come in the really intimate work that I was doing with both of them. And, it's my very first film, and I think that something that I'm, of course, asking them every day is to have a tremendous amount of faith in me, who has no reputation, no film to show them. So I think that so much of it had to be about earning their trust, and then, of course, every day working to tell the story that we wanted to tell, that when we started working together, we talked about it as the story that we wanted to tell. And I think it's like what works in a relationship is what works, which is that it needs great communication, which I think is the only thing that we could really do, because that's the best way I could help them.
Was she a good communicator? Did she do a good job?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you could tell from the very beginning, even during the casting process, that she knew what she wanted, and she knew how to talk to us, to me at least, during our Zoom. And that's what you want from a director, that when you can feel from a director, oh, he or she knows what she wants, then you know that you're in safe hands, and you know that you can let go, and you can be totally vulnerable, and you're open to try things. And the question if someone is a veteran filmmaker or a first-time filmmaker doesn't even enter the room, so the equation. So I felt I was in safe hands from the very beginning. So it was great.
Yeah, the thing I'm poking at a little bit is Celine had the confidence, and I saw this in the Q&A, to request that even behind the scenes, you two just never made physical contact until the moment in the scene in the movie where you were hugging for the first time. Same thing happened with John, the husband character. Also, you never actually met him, Teo, until you were on the day filming. And I feel like that kind of confidence is really interesting. I just wanted, was it an experiment, or did you know how that was going to work, and what were the results in your opinion?
There were several ongoing experiments, yes. I mean, I want to say though, that this script itself was probably one of the greatest professional surprises I think of to date for my career. But then the second greatest surprise was Celine as a director. I mean, I think for us, what we're trying to explain is this collective feeling of like, we all came for the script and we stayed for the director. And feeling so completely, what's happening? Are we taking off in the flight? Okay.
Yeah, we boarded.
I'm so jet lagged, so this is really like putting me into a specific space. But Celine, truly, for us, I mean, we can talk about the script and what it was and how it felt so radical and everything we set out to do, but Celine as a director is like a whole other conversation for us. And yes, these experiments of the not touching and keeping us apart, I mean, they were all just one iteration of an incredibly surgical and deliberate process that does not make sense for a first-time director. I mean, Celine was, I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but Celine is the best director I've ever worked with after 20 years of working. And to have her come with such a, I mean, it matches in a way Nora's unapologetic, completely unburdened sense of vision. And I don't think we've ever experienced anything like that before. So yes, when it came to these experiments of like, let's not touch and let's wait until that moment so we can really be in agreement in terms of the language, the specific language of longing and chemistry, we were like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do that. In addition to the things that we were doing privately, but there were such a specific and also delicate sense of what we needed to do to make those moments not just like, you know, I think there's an assumption with a movie with this kind of performance and tone that with naturalism that we just like leave things to chance and just be in the moment and see what happens, and it was not that. Because of Celine, every moment was executed with such a hyper sense of, yeah, surgical precision. It was like, yeah, well, it was like militaristic and like very badass.
Celine's loving this. I'll start with you again, Celine. Looking back at your past work, because in some ways, this is your first film, but also you've had a very successful career as a theater, in the theater world, theater community. And something I found really striking as a through line is that one of your first plays was about the Korean grandmothers who were all like sea divers, and it also had this strange, parallel story of you as a playwright trying to process what am I writing, right? There's this meta story to it. One of the other plays that you worked on was, and for anyone who doesn't know this, it's kind of fantastic. You can look it up online. During the pandemic, she got asked to do a play virtually, and so you redid the seagull in Sims 4. Is that correct?
Yeah, live streamed Chekhov's The Seagull on The Sims 4. But I think that to me it's like, I think you're trying to ask me like, what is the...
Well, I mean, I'll do the last thing, which is like, it's something that I found really interesting. Both of these have this like meta-narrative of you're not only watching the story, but you're also thinking about how it was made and why it was made and the story behind the story. And this film, even Past Lives, I was thinking about it, rewatching the opening, you started off and it's a story about you thinking about your narrative, interacting with other people's narratives, thinking about the people in the bar thinking about your narrative. And then you have, for some reason, and I would love you to explain all of this, you have the main character stare right at the camera. And this is how you start the whole film. And so it all does the same thing, right? It's like very self-aware, and if you're asking the audience to be aware of the fact that you're watching a movie, what about this story and that inclination in your work felt like right for film? Because you jumped mediums from theater to film. What about that felt right for this story?
Well, I think that first and foremost, the thing that has to work in any dramatic storytelling is that the audience has to feel alive in it. and they have to be encountering a live work. And I think that's something that I think over the 10 years that I spent in theater, I was coming face to face every day. And a part of the making work that's alive, that is then asking the audience to stay alive throughout it, is that it has to have stakes. And I think it also has to be some form of real life stakes in it. So when Nora turns to the camera and looks at the audience, part of what that does is that, well, first of all, it's an invitation to the film, is to say like, welcome to the film. And of course, there's another part of it where it is an implication of the audience, where it is a little bit of, hey, you're not just going to sit there and watch this film as just a viewer, you're actually going to be a part of this film. And then I think that, of course, the thing that I'm asking the audience to be a part of is the mystery. So it's a bit of a casting of the audience as a detective, right? So you're asking the audience to basically play detective on this mystery. And there's no murder, but the mystery is that who are these three people to each other? And from there, I think that the audience can have direction for how to encounter their story, which then, of course, affects the childhood. And I think that it is connected to my work in theater, where the meta-theatricality, or turning to the audience and speaking to the audience, which is a very specifically a theatrical thing and a Brechtian thing. Part of what that does is that, it is allowing, what the theater at its finest has the audience throwing tomatoes and, like getting into fights in the aisle, right? That is sort of the fantasy of it.
Did anyone throw tomatoes tonight?
So I think that's what's, to me, what is always a part of the theatrical experience, and I think that's what I hope for everything I make, which is that for the audience to feel like there are stakes in the story, and that they feel like they're part of the story, and because, of course, at the end of the day, it's about these two characters.
Awesome, that's great. Ask you more questions about that, but I won't. We don't have time. Teo, so I want to ask you a question about the prep work that went into your performance, because this film is, a lot of people say it's restrained, it's very elegant, and all those things are very true. I feel like the way that your character is able to use things like just nothing but body language, nothing but your eyes, all these things, like what kind of stuff went into your prep work? Because I rewatched a lot of the scenes earlier this week. I was kind of amazed by how much you can convey with so little, especially just feeling the little boy inside of the grown man. Little things like that. It was really, I found it very moving the second time, in the way that, like, I think the first time it kind of, it was so simple and I missed some of it. What kind of work did you do to get to a place where you can pull off those kind of things?
Thank you. Well, one of the small technical things in the beginning were for Celine to really constrain me in our first rehearsal, because the dynamic of our relationship and trying to work out how the chemistry between the two of us might work, I think I was a little bit too energetic, and she saw that, and she was like, no, Teo, you have to let her discover it for herself. And I was like, okay, the next day I'm going to be coming to rehearsal totally in head-on mode, and I'm going to be coming totally off. So yeah, I went there, and so emotionally I prepped during rehearsal, like totally. The second part, and that's the physical part, is that I let myself being inspired by the interviews that I watched Tom Hanks do about the child actor in Forrest Gump. So I did that on Seungmin for our young child actor.
I showed them the chemistry of the two.
Right. So I just let myself be inspired by the child actor and how restrained he was and how shy he was. And I realized that he always had his arms kind of almost taped and glued to the side of his body. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I would carry that into the adult home and had some sense memory work going on in my mind. And just, let him only lose up when he's drinking with his buddy. So when he's at the bar, he kind of had like a little bit more body movement and had it like on a scale from 1 to 10. So it was like very technical when he's like opening up more, when he's restrained when he touches his hair like this, and you know, so to try to make it look natural, but you know, to a point that it's like on a scale, and the audience doesn't realize it, and she doesn't realize it, but make it look natural.
So you thought I didn't realize it?
I hope. That's what I always.
Wait,
that's
can
what
I just
people believe.
blow up your spot for just a minute here? I'm dying laughing because I'm remembering the first day Teo walks in. Teo walks in with like beautiful mandals, fancy sandals, like a floral silky shirt, and I was like buttoned down here and his hair, and he was like, hey. And we were like, oh my God, hello, yes, hello. And this is a testament to how good you are, because we had that conversation of like, oh my God, like can you come back as less of a movie star? And it was like, Julie, you came in and you were like, hey, how's it going? And we were like,
I think I said,
oh God, okay. You said,
I think I said, the thing is, I was thinking like exactly like this. You know, the truth is that Hesung is an engineer.
Engineering can be hot.
he came back the next day.
This is the thing that we were doing, which is that with Katina, our costume designer, something that I really wanted for Teo as Hesung is that, so for example, in that scene where he's waiting for her at the Madison Square Park to see her for the first time in 24 years, it was very easy to try to put him in clothes that are great and makes him look very flattering, but something that me and Katina we were working on is that we know his size, but we wanted to put him in a shirt that's a little too big and pants that are a little too small. Because a part of it is that we want to feel for him, right? So that's the thing of it. Because I think sometimes I feel like the thing that we're of course trying to find is at the end of the day, a part of the chemistry that we're talking about is that it's not necessarily one kind of a thing. The chemistry that Greta and Nora has with John as Arthur, for example, is a different kind of chemistry. It's the chemistry of a married couple, right? And of course, the relationship that Nora has with Hesung is one that's very different. So it is meant to be built on something that's a little bit uncomfortable intentionally, because it has to, and that's where the romance is, that's where the chemistry is. So I think that that's something that we're trying to build together, you know? And I think it's like, yeah, because of course, Teo as a person is so charming, he's so cozy. But there's a part of it where it's like, well, no, he's somebody who is kind of fish out of water in New York, right? Which is a very important part of his story.
Awesome. I love talking about how sexy you are.
you know what? I would say I am handsome too,
That
okay?
was the question.
Greta is so
She's
handsome.
amazingly attractive.
Really
too.
handsome.
That's true. Just ask another question.
I want to open it up to the audience. How sexy is Teo? Greta, one of the things that is really striking about your career is you're a really big personality, and you're really funny, and you've done a lot of comedic, wild things, and to see you come into this space, Celine's world or whatever, and not only play one reserved version of yourself, but to kind of play two, like you are playing multiple characters here, the code switching, the way that you can kind of see, again, the body language and everything transform depending on who you're with, and the context, I think is really incredible. I just want to talk about like your process of building these different versions of yourself, what surprised you about it, what was exciting, what sucks, I just want to.
I don't want to tell you my process.
Oh, nah.
Of course, yes. Okay. I mean, there is just no denying that this opportunity really was the opportunity of a lifetime for me. It's not one that I was expecting. I think that, just to be frank, there was this sort of slow acceptance for me, a peaceful one actually, that maybe I wouldn't get a chance to do something like this. This movie, the naturalism, the kind of movie that it is, it represents everything that I wanted when I first started. Truly, I mean, Linklater, we talked about certain kinds of performances, Maggie Chung, Charlotte Rampling, I mean, those have always been my people. They just didn't want me back yet. But getting to do this really was, I don't know, getting to have that experience where Nora is absolutely, she was formed on the wings of all of these other, I guess, crazy ladies that I played. But because of what the spirit of the movie is and what we were after, it really had the sense that it felt like totally new territory, in that it goes beyond whether or not, oh, you know, genre, comedy versus drama, like what I'm gonna do to adjust for that. This felt so new, just as a film. The first time I read it, I couldn't believe that I was reading something that read as a love story. In some ways, a very conventional love story, a love triangle. But the way that Celine had somehow captured the most intimate and accessible, easily accessible moments in life and extrapolated them and made them feel huge, massive, monumental, like science fiction. All of that was so exciting to me. And so it was very liberating in that sense, where it didn't feel like, okay, how am I going to, you know, pivot and it just, we were all collectively going after something that genuinely felt so new to all of us. Yeah, I'm just glad that I got to have the chance to put, we all did, I know Teo and John, really give something, everything you have is such a gift. It just is, so.
It's great, it's amazing. You said, I mean, I think I maybe have one or more questions left, time for that much. You mentioned these smallest things feel like science fiction, these massive things. And I totally feel that in the final scene of the bar is probably one of my favorite things I've seen in a very long time. It was so thrilling. It felt like a suspense thriller or whatever, but it was just three people sitting awkwardly talking. And what I love about that is you managed, all of you, your entire team managed to pull off this thing where there are no bad guys, right? It's just a lot of messy people trying their best. And that weirdly, it gave me a lot of hope for humanity. It felt very, like, so small, but at the same time, like, maybe we're going to be okay. Just watching, especially men, the moment when you go to the bathroom and the men come out, they are forced to sit with each other, knowing how fragile we can be in those spaces, our masculinity and our egos, and wondering if you're going to go there. Like, are you going to go there? Is it going to explode? Is this whatever? And just seeing how you were able to pull that off was really beautiful. And I want to just hear about like, if this is my last question, I want to hear about the process of that scene, because I think it's so important for the movie, but also it's very important for me to see just a positive representation of masculinity, right? That was such a beautiful thing, and yeah, I just want to hear how you got to it and what was like shooting it, because it was thrilling to watch.
Well, I think that it is, it would have been much easier if it would have been easier if the villain was a person. But the truth is that the villain of the story is 24 years, and it's also Pacific Ocean, right? So I think it was always important in the beginning that you're not going to treat this movie like a traditional love triangle where they start fighting or being upset. But the truth is that these two men, they hold key to this woman that they care about, that the other guy doesn't have, right? So part of it is that, and of course, so Haesung knows something about Nora that Arthur doesn't know, and Arthur knows something about Haesung that Haesung doesn't know. And you could either try to fight each other for the keys, or you could resent each other for having the keys that they don't have. What they're going to say instead is to be grateful for each other, and the fact that this woman can be fully understood only with both of them there. And I think masculinity was something that I was talking about and thinking about the whole time. Because to me, of course, masculinity, when we talk about masculinity, is so often this kind of chest pumping, like it's mine kind of a thing. But the truth is that I think that masculinity that I love, and the men that I love, and the men, and so many men in my life who I love, and I really see that as my favorite part of masculinity. It's the part where they're actually able to set themselves aside for the person that they care about, right? Because what the both men are deciding in that moment is, I'm not going to make this moment about what I need and my insecurity and my, my weakness. I'm going to make this about her strength, And I think that to me is at the heart of what that sequence is, what that whole scene is, and they're going to have room for each other because she needs both, and she can only be complete with both of them, And I think that to me is what is actually true about us.
Amazing, very true. If we could have one movie that can hold all of that, how beautiful would that be? Not simplifying, but instead expanding. Greta, do you have something you want to add? This is our last chance to say something.
No, it's just that it's a general. I gotta go. No, I just that we genuinely feel so proud. And we just do. And to continue to get to share it with an audience is everything to us, especially in this moment and what we're talking about, what this movie is to us, and that sort of nagging question I think some of us are having in terms of the kinds of movies that are getting made in our world, and it feeling a little bit more like it's favoring this idea of the loudest voice in the room, and just wondering, feeling like, can we service something else? Something about love and humanness and the connectedness we all have. And it's just been amazing to like talk to people from Indonesia and Ireland who physically present so different from us, but are connecting and saying, that's me, just makes us feel so genuinely excited about filmmaking, making sure that we can keep having movies like this.
I mean, I feel like as the movie coming out globally, something that I've noticed is like, it doesn't matter what country you're in, where you are, what region, they're gonna laugh and cry the same things, And I think that, of course, this started from a really personal place and a very personal feeling that I had in this bar. And what happened was this, which is the opening scene, which is something that came from a really personal experience. And I feel like at the time, it was a real question of like, I have this secret, right? I have this secret feeling that, of course, then over time, in turning into film, is now, now it's out globally. And the truth is that it just makes me feel so much less lonely. Now that I know that I'm not the only person who's felt this. And that's also very true. I think that after every screening, I feel like I always talk to somebody who tells me like, yeah, I had this feeling once. I had this feeling that you described in the film.
I had this feeling once. That's the basic sense of art. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all being here. Great to talk to you all.